Operation Back to School Chandler, a project that began through For Our City Chandler, is a remarkable community event that brings together dozens of local nonprofits, faith groups, businesses, and the city to serve students most in need right here in Chandler. At this event, students pre-K through high school receive a number of items to help them start the school year off on equal footing.
The Chandler Service Club is handing out and supplying a number of shoes, hundreds and hundreds of shoes to families. We have other groups that have come together, many from our LDS churches that are provided over 1,000 uniforms for kids. We've got a group from St. Andrew's Catholic Church that are doing haircuts for kids. In this gymnasium that this door is open here, we have probably about 40 different booths of different groups that are involved with literacy or involved with some form of education that are engaged our kids too. So it just, we've got so many partners this year.
Being prepared for the first day of school can greatly impact a student's performance.
We want to set the kids up ready to learn, start school prepared with the supplies that they need. Our employees donated over 600 backpacks filled with supplies, as well as an additional 20 boxes of supplies and then socks and underwear. So we are hoping that everybody leaves today with what they need to start school.
Operation Back to School Chandler is truly a community event and couldn't happen without the numerous sponsors, community partners, and volunteers who devote countless hours towards making it a success.
We bring resources, we bring manpower, but most of all, we bring a heart of service to reach as many people as we can in need within the city of Chandler.
I think that there's more needs here that could be met. We encourage all of our community to be a part of it. Come join us and let's make this event even bigger and better.
Participating in this event is an investment in our community and shows what can happen when people of diverse backgrounds and fields of service work together towards a common goal.
There's over 50 organizations that are vested in this program this year. That includes businesses within the community, it includes the nonprofit community, it includes the city government, it includes the faith-based community and the schools. And so it brings all of these people together. Now it's easy to collaborate when we say, hey, I'll meet you there and we'll do something together, but when you're bringing your money to the table to serve from one big pot, it makes a big difference because it breaks down the walls of my organization did this and my organization did that, and it becomes about the people we serve.
This event helps thousands of children in Chandler start the school year with the supplies and confidence they need to learn and to be successful.
Welcome to Chandler in Focus. I'm Council Member Kevin Hartke, and our topic of discussion today is Chandler's 4th annual Operation Back to School. This is an exciting event every year in which we have volunteers from around the community that come together on one day and see how we can make our students' back to school experience excellent. And today, I've got 2 guests that we'll be talking with about this. Heather Angiano, who is the principal at Hartford Elementary School, and Juana Hernandez, who is a community outreach representative with SRP. Well, welcome, and thank you for joining me on Chandler in Focus today. It's hard to believe that we're already talking about next year's school when Heather is still finishing up this year. So with that said, there's a lot of people behind the scenes that are going to make this event possible, and we're already preparing for this Operation Back to School event next year. But let's get started. So why don't you tell me about yourselves. Heather, tell us about yourself.
Good morning, thank you. My name is Heather Angiano, and I am the principal at Hartford Sylvia and Cenas Elementary. Hartford is the oldest elementary school in the city of Chandler. This is my 5th year at Hartford and my 18th year in the Chandler Unified School District. Along with working in Chandler, I also live in Chandler.
Sylvia Encinas was a friend of mine. I served with her on the first Human Relations Commission, and she was just a refreshing burst of energy, wasn't she?
Absolutely.
I really enjoyed getting to know her. And Juana, tell us about yourself and the work that you do with SRP.
Like you mentioned, I'm a community outreach representative for SRP. I manage the SRP Safety Connection program, which focuses on bringing awareness and educating the public about water and electric safety. I've been doing that for a year now, but I've been at SRP for over 15 years, and I've enjoyed every part of it.
So in your community involvement, what is, how great of an area do you serve? I'd be hard to believe that we get you just in Chandler.
Right, we have over 1 million power customers, and we're one of the largest water provider to the valley. So that's why it's important to us to talk to the community about water and electric safety.
And so your work spans the entire valley and outside the valley as well?
Yes, that's right.
That's great. So Heather, you've been involved with Operation Back to School since we started the collaborative event at Chandler High School. Tell us about the event.
It is an absolutely wonderful event. The first year that the event was put into action, I remember going to the old ICAM building and sorting out supplies and wondering, how is this ever going to happen? Of course, I think of my 750 students, but thinking of the greater community. And the day of that event was absolutely phenomenal. We got there at 6 in the morning, and there was a line of families just it went on forever. A great opportunity. It just brought great energy to our first day of school. Great time seeing the students and parents, and really gave them that inspiration that it's time to go back to school. We're ready, and now we have the supplies that we need to be the best learners that we can be.
Oh, that is great. I remember back in 2010, several of us were sitting around a room talking about endeavors that one of the nonprofits that I started and worked with called For Our City Chandler, I asked the question, how many of you in this room give out backpacks? And just about everyone in the room raised their hand, and they were involved with churches and nonprofits. There was ICANN, Boys and Girls Club, and everyone had a clientele that they were giving backpacks to. And then I asked, how many of you knew that everyone else was also giving out backpacks? And fewer hands went up, because I think what often happens with great organizations is that we focus on what we do, and sometimes we're oblivious to the fact that there's others that do the same thing. And the first year, we just tried to get the word out and let everybody know that there were others that were giving out backpacks and engaged with the same. And the second year, I recall that many of them started to see, how can we work together? Chandler Christian Community Center and Without Walls Christian Center, for example, planned events on the same day. And by the third year, they were kind of coordinating events, and then that led us to go to the big event at Chandler High School, which we were doing a one-day event. And that really became probably the beginning of one of the greater events that I think happens in Chandler. So I'm always excited to see what happens. So what are some of the needs that are represented by your school?
I think the greatest needs that's representative of all students are notebooks, paper, glue sticks, scissors, just those basic essential supplies. Also, backpacks are huge. We have a need for supplies and backpacks all year long, but this event really allows students to start the first day of school with what they need to be great learners.
And now, Hartford is also a school that utilizes school uniforms, don't they?
Correct, correct. Yeah. So we always have a need for school uniforms, including tops and bottoms or skirts. Socks and underwear are also a need. So we really want to make sure we can break down any barriers that would prevent students from coming to school. So whether it's they need a clean pair of socks, they need an eraser, they need a backpack, we want to break down all of those barriers so students have a reason to come to school and are prepared to come to school.
Well, that's fun. And I think the Seroptimists are also going to be out there, and I know they are now, collecting shoes for this event that hopefully will be able to clad several Hartford students and others with some brand new tennis shoes that they can have fun on those first days as well. So you mentioned a number of items. How can residents donate these?
There will be bins placed around the city at different schools, different companies, city buildings. Citizens can also drop off materials and supplies at the old ICAM building. So you guys have done a great job of making it possible to make it easy for citizens. Nikki Tapia, who works with the city, she's also a great point of contact. So if there's a social service organization or a company out there that wants to collect items, they can get in touch with Nikki, and she can direct them exactly where they can take the materials. And we'll also welcome materials at Hartford, and we can add them to the pot to be dispersed.
And I know, I think we've got a group that pretty soon are going to start inventorying what we have left from last year, but what's the deadline that people can donate?
The deadline is up until the beginning of July, because then that gives the volunteers enough time to sort and organize everything before the actual event. As always, we'll take items whenever, because there always is a need, but to ensure the success of this particular event, by the beginning of July would be best.
We're always a bit of in a bit of a pickle for supplies in Chandler, because a lot of the Walmart and other schools start their sales in July, don't they? And then we have one of the schools that are probably one of the earliest starters. Are there others that start as early as Chandler?
Not to my knowledge. The surrounding districts start, but it's usually 1 or 2 weeks behind Chandler. So we are the school district that starts the earliest.
Wow. All 4 of my kids have gone through the Chandler School District, and it always is surprising in the heat of summer when it's time for school to start. But on the other hand, it gives them something to do in the heat of summer rather than languish and want to do other things. So
absolutely.
It's a great program. And Juana, let's talk with you about SRP and your involvement in Chandler and our schools. Can you tell us about SRP's community focus?
Sure. Well, for Operation Back to School, SRP provides a sponsorship for the event. And at the event, we have a water safety booth where we have the opportunity to engage with families and talk to them about the importance of being safe around water. And so this is my second year. It's going to be my second year participating in the event. So with Chandler, however, are very involved with the city of Chandler through swim lesson programs, community events, but also with Chandler Leadership Program. And with schools, we are also very involved by providing learning grants to schools for up to $5,000 for STEM-related programs, in addition to up to $2,500 for social studies programs. We know that several Chandler educators have taken advantage of the free training workshops that we offer, which are focused on water conservation, energy, and renewable energy. And also they've been able to use our free resources that we provide, posters, DVDs, booklets that are available for free to anyone who requests them, to any educator that's interested in obtaining them. So,
we were teasing before the show started, and so Heather probably has a week or a couple weeks advantage over other teachers in our community to see what she can do with this information. Yeah. So what type of information will you have at the SRP booth with water safety? What types of things will you have there?
So during the months of, drowning is a problem in Arizona year-round. And during the months of June, July, and August, we see a high amounts of drownings. And a lot of times the distractions from getting ready to go back to school can create a high risk for child drownings. And so it's a great opportunity for SRP to engage with families and talk to them about water safety. And our messaging is very simple to remember. We talk about the ABCs of water safety, adult supervision, barriers, and classes. We recommend people to always designate a water watcher when children have access to water. And when that fails, you also want to make sure that you have barriers in place, like pull fences that have self-closing, self-locking gates, door alarms, window alarms as barriers, and then as a family, learn to swim and take CPR lessons.
That's very good. Mm-hmm. I was hiking this weekend, and I ran into someone who had a child who died as a result of a pool accident, and who's a Chandler resident, and it's a scar.
It is.
That never goes away.
Yeah, definitely. It's very sad to hear. A lot of times when we go to events and talk about drownings, it's a sad topic, but it's very important to talk about. We hear stories from first responders, from families, and it is truly heartbreaking. And I can share with you that last year alone, in Maricopa and Pinal County, there were 158 water-related incidents that resulted in 17 child and 29 adult fatal drownings. And so in Chandler, 3 of those fatalities occurred. And so this is why it's very important that we can have the opportunity to engage with so many children at the Operation Back to School event, and provide them with resources on water safety, but then also school supplies. So.
Well, thank you for the work that you do, and we'd love to see that number at 0,
yes,
not only in Chandler, but across the valley, and thank you for helping with the message.
Thanks.
So how did SRP get involved with Operation Back to School?
As I mentioned, we provide grants to, we provide a grant for the event, and we participate in various community events throughout the year and around the valley to take advantage, of having families together and being able to have a conversation with them about water safety with children and adults. And so, our staffers that were out last year, and it was my first year attending the event, they were so excited. They were the first ones to RSVP to go out to the event and be there because they enjoyed it very much, and they enjoyed being able to, interact with the kids at the event.
One of the aspects of the Operation Back to School event that I always find just so full of energy is after kids have the opportunity to get shoes and uniforms and backpacks that are stuffed, they then have the opportunity to go into the old Chandler gymnasium, and there's about 50 or 60 organizations that have tables there, of which SRP is one. And they're all related to things for kids going back to school, whether it's reading opportunities or our police or fire. I think when Arizona had the Super Bowl, we had a group from there, from them that were representative, and it is one exciting place that children and families can mill all around, and there's raffles and other things available that different organizations bring. And it's really one of the most exciting places in Chandler on that particular morning. There's no question of that. So Heather, tell me about your experience with Operation Back to School. What are the types of things that you have done, and what do you particularly like about this?
I like the entire event. In its inception, once again, wasn't sure how it was going to happen, but once again, I am a resident of Chandler and like to get involved and volunteer. So when I heard that they were seeking volunteers to help with the organization, I thought, what a perfect opportunity for me and my family to get involved. So went to the old ICAM building and dusted off tables and helped with that. And it was the very first day. And then when the actual event came, attended that, and it just, the energy there, the excitement, my students looking at me like, what are you doing here? The families were so appreciative. You could just see the relief taken away from them that their children were going to be able to start school just like everyone else with the supplies and the materials that they needed. It was neat. Being an educator in Chandler for 18 years, I even run into former students who are now parents and there with their children. So it's really neat. Just Chandler's such a great community, and this is a great event that brings so many generations together and ultimately making sure that students are prepared and ready for learning. That's
great. And I know this year, we're not only going to be reaching out to the schools that are represented in 85225 and our Title I schools, but actually all of Chandler residents. So if there is our students from the Kyrene district, our charter schools, or others that need backpacks, this is going to be a bigger year than I think that we have ever seen before. So are there a lot of your students that you've seen that have come?
Absolutely, absolutely. We promote the event at our school, and we're fortunate to have our Meet the Teacher the Thursday before the event, so we make sure we communicate it there. And once again, it's word of mouth. I think parents have a positive experience. Students definitely have a positive experience. So if you do something and it feels good and it benefits you, you're going to tell 10 more people. So the event is very organized and just continues to get bigger. So it's very exciting.
So do you have any particular stories of some of your students or families that you've engaged with at this event or afterwards and their appreciation?
The stories are countless. I have parents that are already coming to me now asking me when that event's going to be. It just melts your heart when you pull up at 6 o'clock in the morning and there's a line that goes around the block. I mean, just absolutely amazing. And parents just want the best for their children, and seeing students get their supplies. And I remember last year there was a little girl, and she got her backpack and she got up and she started kissing it and she was so excited and hugging it. And just to see a child who's so excited to get a backpack is fantastic. And the students it's nice for them because they have new supplies that are theirs. They have a backpack that is theirs. And a lot of times if families have multiple children, it's kind of a community pot. And, this is a leftover binder from last year that you can have, which is fantastic. But it's always nice to have new materials for a new school year. So seeing the joy on the students' face is unbelievable. And I am appreciative of the fact that it is for all children of the city of Chandler, that all children can benefit.
I remember the last several years, I like to talk to people who are in line and to see when did they get there. And 2 years ago, there was a woman who was there with her family, her kids, and she showed up at 10 o'clock at night, the night before. And she said somewhere around 11:30, a group of teenagers, young men walked by, and she didn't know whether to be afraid, but they asked her what she was doing there, and she told them. And they pulled out 2 $20 bills and gave them to her and just were, really kind of touched by her diligence in wanting to take care of her kids. And last year, I think they were slackers. They didn't get there till about 3 in the morning. But the line was much, much longer, wrapping all the way from in front of the high school to around the center of the arts building. And we had such a fantastic crew that was there last year. And every child has a story, don't they?
Absolutely.
And watching the joy on faces, whether it's a uniform or a pair of shoes or a backpack or seeing the abundance of volunteers. We will also be collecting water because this is a summer event and we could use all the water that we can get. And we've had great sponsors like even Taco Bell that provided a lot of food for us last year and for people in line. So it's a highlight event for me, and I'm always excited about it. So for both of you, let's talk about how someone else can get involved. From your perspective as a corporation, how would you like to lay a challenge to others or within SRP or others to get involved with this event, Juana?
At the event, we were able to see just the great need that there is in the community, and we hope that other corporations take advantage of being able to deliver their message, but also participate in the community and providing them with school supplies that is needed. And when they're at the event, they will see how special it is. And so we invite others to join in, and we're looking forward to the event again this year.
And how about you, Heather, as a principal, as an educator? What are some, we've mentioned donation, but what are some other opportunities that you've seen as a great volunteer?
I really use my personal connections. Friends who play bunco don't play bunco if they don't show up empty-handed without school supplies, or finding social service organizations. So many members of our community want to volunteer, want to make donations. So I think it's really getting the word out of give to your own city, give to your citizens of your community. So it's networking with my personal connections and letting people know when you go to buy school supplies for your own child, buy another set for another child. Or if you're having a community event or a social event, encourage people to come and bring supplies in order to attend your event. And it's such a great feeling, and people want to give. I think sometimes they just don't know how. So it's making those connections and letting people know that an opportunity exists right here in our community.
And we have lots of opportunities for volunteers at this. You had mentioned kind of the precursor of this, or the pre-setup, with just looking and arranging these backpacks and stuffing them, because we'll be getting huge amounts of supplies, glue sticks, erasers, pencils, pens, notebook pads, and others. And every one of these has to be put in one of the thousands of backpacks that are going to be there. So we need people to do that in advance. We need people who are bilingual, because several of our families and students can benefit by someone who are going to be able to erase the confusion of this huge long line and how can they get involved. So there are lots of opportunities. And again, Nikki Tapia is a great person to talk up to. So how to sign up? Probably the best way is to get on the website, backtoschoolchandler.org, And from there are different opportunities available if you would like to donate, if you would like to volunteer, if you would like to be involved in some way, shape, or form. There give some great opportunities for you to serve into that aspect. So we've only got a few minutes left with our time here today. And what else would you like to say about this event? Let's start with you, Juana, or any other areas that SRP is engaged in Chandler or surrounding communities.
Sure. Like I said, we're looking forward again to the event, and we're proud to be involved in in Chandler and being able to provide educational resources, be part of community programming for Chandler families. And so if anyone's interested in obtaining information on these items, they can go visit our website at srpnet.com/safety. But we look forward to another great event with Operation Back to School.
You spoke earlier about this grant for teachers. So how many teachers have been through that program? And do you have any idea of Chandler teachers who have been involved?
I don't, I'm sorry, but we have we have several teachers that have taken advantage of the learning grants through SRP. And as I mentioned, we offer up to $5,000 for STEM-related programs and up to $2,500 for social studies. So if anyone's interested, just let us know. And that information is available at srpnet.com/education.
Very good. And Heather, is there anything else that you would like to share? And I know this is going to be your 6th year coming up at one of you mentioned the very first elementary school in Chandler.
Yes, it is. I just would like to thank you for your leadership and vision for our community. Events like this are so impactful on our students. So I just want to personally thank you as a citizen, and thank you as a principal for your vision and your support of our community.
Well, thank you. And we had a great event with for our City Day that benefited a lot of the community around your particular school too, in terms of renovating and parks and other things. So that was fun. Well, our show is at an end, and it's been a pleasure and enjoyable for me to get to talk to you both and to be involved with this. And I look forward to seeing you again at Operation Back to School at the end of July here. So
thanks.
Thank you very much.
Until next time, I'm Kevin Hartke, and this is Chandler in Focus.